All right, thank you for coming. My name is Kesia. Can we have us introduce ourselves?
I'm Julia.
Julia,
I'm Matthew.
Matthew,
B.
B,
Beatrice.
yeah,
And you.
yeah. You might have to remind me, but yes, but I really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you so much. So I guess I'll start with self-introductions. I'm Keisha King. This is my little introduction here that I made on Canva. so, so basically, a little bit of facts about me. I was born March 30th, 1987, 87 baby. I'm 38 this year. I'm getting close to there, so I'm waiting for it. I'm actually really excited when I hit that new age in my era. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm an Aries. I do traditional work, but I'm mostly been specializing lately in digital. So that's why I put digital artists here. Um, my traits are little facts about me. I'm a certified cat girl, I know. So I just put that there. I'm all around goofball, but but I'm in my little element. I kind of let loose and everything like that. I said occasional crash out. I'll blame it to my Aries nature every now and then. But I'm pretty calm for the most part. But when I do get that point, it's just like the Aries will come out. But then I shine the light, but thrives in a little bit of darkness. You gotta have the little balance every now and then. Also, random facts about me. I love building. I love building tables. I've tried to build my brand for about since 2015. It's changed a lot of faces, changed a lot of names, but I'm glad to be where I'm at right now. So, also call me an alchemist. So I create a lot. I do a lot of things. That's what I create a lot through my art, and manifest a lot, and through what I want for my business and everything like that. So I just call myself like a little bit of an alchemist. And then it said, approach with extreme creativity and cookies for all of your expression. But yeah. So yeah, let's get started. So what this panel is about is introduction to world building. So I've been doing world building. Oh, I've been world building since I partied out when I was a kid. I loved writing. When I was younger, I wrote mostly fiction, mostly fantasy, sci-fi. Because I've always been into anime for about over 30 years. So it just ingrained itself into my work, whether it was artwork, whether it's writing. It just became like a really big influence for me. So I love it. Basically, world building and illustration. Basically, you're just telling us. Basically, I say that is you're just telling a story. Basically, what story do you want to tell through the work that you do? So the purpose of this panel is basically to explain how important world building and storytelling is through art. To explain how being intentional and storytelling through imagery and colors can help people understand your world better. And to explain how creativity is boundless when you have a world we want to share. So yeah, so we're going to start with world building and storytelling through art. So I'm going to have a little audience participation. How do you feel about this piece? Like, what does it say to you when you look at it?
There's a lot of emotions portrayed in it. There's a lot of emotions portrayed in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say, I love how you did the crying, the tears. To me, that style is really cool and unique.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Very character forward.
Thank you. Yeah, so I feel like with art, it's always good to have a lot of people if they can interpret their own way. Cause I know there's always a story behind what you say, but when you put it out there, it's always good to have people have their own thoughts about your artwork and see what they say through it and everything like that. So basically, if I can explain this piece, this is basically me and what I've been through in this short period of my life. I am diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic. So this is basically when I started. It was in college. I was 23 when I got hit with it. And then this is basically me when I went through it. And then this is kind of basically where I'm at now in life, like a bit thriving, but I feel like I kind of level in between these two. I'm trying to get here. so yeah, that's basically mostly how I wanted to interpret this piece. I basically call this one my evolution. I just feel like with world building and how the So storytelling through art has been a thing through centuries, since the days of cavemen. You know, they always painted on walls, to tell you what their life is like, what they're seeing outside the world, and stuff like that. Then you can think about it evolved through like, let's say like you could think Egyptian pyramids. You know, those are tombs. So basically, you know, they have like the hieroglyphs and everything that will explain what the kings and queens and what the rule was like and everything. And then let's talk about Grecian vases. You know, they have like the stories of heroes on them. And then you can think about feel like how it has evolved through time today. Is basically today how it's evolved today. Like, you know, we have through comic books. We have it through, you know, animation. You know, everyone. I feel like everyone has a story they want to tell when it comes to their artwork. And I feel like with the questions when you're making your illustrations, like, what does your art want to say to its audience, and how do you want it to resonate through them when they look through it? But yeah, I feel like we're all experiencing a lot through life. You know, whether it's harsh times or happy times. And I feel like through life, I feel like your story is important to anybody. I feel like your story is important to actually everybody. You know what I mean? And I feel like even if you're shy about it, I feel like you should reach outside your comfort zone and just tell that story. You know, in any form or any shape that you can. So, but yeah. Let me go to the next one. So. So our next section is being intentional through imagery and color. So more audience participation. What do you think this picture is like? What does it say to you?
Very anime. I mean, you definitely got like the pagoda type style in there, and the writing and everything. Classic colors with Asia with the red.
There's a lot of contrast to the red with the blue background behind her.
Intriguing because I don't know much about her character design is so interesting.
Oh, thank you.
The influence of movement, because it looks like one's chasing the other and one's kind of falling off the building. So it's creating movement like a float.
Right. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. So basically, with this, I explain this piece. It's basically I was going for like a manga kind of comic type of imagery. So basically, yeah. So I feel like everyone feels like they have different when they see it. They look at it differently. Like, is she jumping off it? Is she like jumping on it? But really, with the image, she's jumping on it, and this is just the bigger vision of her jumping onto the pagoda. But I love when people say it looks like she's jumping off. It looks like movement. I'm like, oh, I didn't take that. But hey, it works. You know, I'm really happy that people see that. But yeah, so. And I feel like in a world where internet tells you that self-taught is best, which it is. Like, I'm self-taught before I started going to classes. Basics are important. I feel like for anatomy, hi, come on in. Hello. Thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
What are your names?
Shem and AJ.
Hello, very nice to meet you. Well, we're just sorry we just moved on to the second one, but if you want to participate, you can tell me how you feel about this piece.
I'm trying to get the emotions.
Oh, no,
because
you're fine.
I'm a professional artist, so I'm thinking about what's going on versus what's
Right, no, I
what I'm
understand.
feeling.
I completely understand.
High energy
Mm-hmm.
and interest in movement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about the repetition between the two figures.
Yeah, no, I understand. So I explained earlier that with this one I was going for more like a manga comic book feel.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this is basically her right here, where she's in the movement and jumping onto the pagoda.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like people finally kind of look at it. They're like, oh, like she said, one of the B said earlier that she's jumping off it, but it's just mostly it's just like a kind of like comic book feel, like how they just show the motion and they show it again in the back sometimes.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but I was explaining that being intentional through imagery and color. In a world where I feel like in a world where the internet tells you that you're self-taught is best, and which it is. Because like I said, I'm self-taught and everything. That's basically how I started when I was like a kid. So basics, but I feel like basics are important anatomy and from anatomy to like a color theory. So I kind of feel like some people, when they're getting lost in the self-taught debate, it's just like, well, yeah, but you can't forget basics because basics are important for what you want to say, especially if you're making world building and illustrations and stuff like that. So I just feel like you gotta learn like anatomy, hands, feet, color theory, so you can play with your colors because color. I feel like color is important when you're expressing yourself through the illustration. I can give you a background of what my art history is like. So basically, like I said, I'm self-taught. When I was a kid, I've been drawing just doodle, 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 and I've always had even when I was little, I always had a really fascination with humans. Like I drew like a lot of like humanoids, like animal humanoids. I remember I was obsessed with making little bear people for some reason. I don't know why. I just made bear people, but I always had a fascination with humans. I don't know what that came from, but that's the main thing that I always studied. Then I got into anime and everything like that, and I started that's what I felt like that's what it clicked. That's what I wanted to do was art. So I've taken classes from middle school to high school, and I do have an associate's in fine arts. So I've been trained on everything, basically, charcoal, all this stuff. So I do come from a wide traditional background, but I felt like because of my love for anime, I felt like I drew more towards ink and pencil, and that's basically what they do when they're making their manga. They mostly do pencil, and then they start inking it in with the different types of different shapes of pens and stuff like that to get all that imagery that you see in manga. So it just fascinated me. So that's why I just kept using markers and pencils and Sharpies and all that stuff to make my artwork. And it's basically when I took up digital artwork. It was in 2022 during the pandemic. I was tired of stalling. I was like, I'm gonna do it one day. I finally did it. And 2022, I'm like, let me just tackle the bear. So I did it, and it's been great. I feel like with my traditional artwork, I think why I went to digital is because I felt like I was limiting myself a lot. I'm not saying that traditional work is limiting because it's important. I mean, it's the first thing that was here first. But I feel like with digital work, I've taken on a lot of my weaknesses because I felt like when I was doing my traditional work, I was too comfortable. So I just kind of shoot it out the way and I just kept drawing the same things over and over again. And then I feel like once I took on digital work, I started, because I don't draw buildings. I'm actually really bad with them. So when I was looking up the imagery and I was able to get this out, this took me 4 days to do, but when I got the imagery and out, I was able to do that. I was really proud of myself, but me and buildings don't get along. But I appreciate my background, learning perspective and, foreshortening and all that stuff. And it just helped. I feel like it helped me catch on quickly when I started doing digital work. So, yeah. So basically, with your illustrations, I always feel like you want to think about how do you want the story to be perceived? What are you trying to tell? What about those worlds that you want the audience to know? What's so important about it? Even if it could be like a simple image like that, what do you want it to tell? What do you want it to say to the people that you're trying to reach out to? But yeah, I'm moving fast. Okay, it's supposed to be a 5-minute break, but we're not even there yet. I think I'll just maybe we can have a discussion afterwards. But yeah, so basically, let's see. So I'm gonna move on to the next picture. If that's okay. So I really love this one a lot. It's one of my favorites. I like a lot of my pictures, but this one was kind of whimsical to draw, especially for summer. So I feel like creativity is boundless. So what do you feel, or what do you see when you look at this picture?
the whimsy of Miyazaki.
It does give it like a little Miyazaki feel. You just see about everything.
And Sophie's hat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a summer piece that I did. If you feel that way, yeah, it probably I don't. It was kind of like I was going for like a more whimsical. It's summer, you know, you're at the beach, just looking at the skyline and everything like that. And I feel like this person in the middle kind of represents me a bit because I'm a daydreamer. So I just see shapes in clouds. That's probably why she's seeing her in the clouds. She's like, oh, I just see a person there. She's just enjoying the beach and enjoying the waves and everything like that. And I really I don't know. When I made this piece, it was just kind of like I don't know. I just wanted something to like be peaceful and stuff like that. We're kind of in a world of chaos at the moment, so I feel like peace is really necessary for what's going on.
And also it's a moment of clarity. Because the composition is much less muddy and much clearer, so you have a really sharp focus conceptually, which might be that lull of peacefulness, is that sharp focus moment in an otherwise chaotic world.
Right. I feel like with everything going on, even before everything, because world's always been chaotic. I feel like sometimes when you're busy in life, you don't think about looking up and seeing clouds, or looking up at night and watching the moon and the stars and all that stuff. And I always feel like that's really important when with everything going on. It's just always important that no matter how busy, like how hectic, or I know we're all going through, like it could be bad things, could be good things. We don't. I feel like life just gets so busy, just trying to strive and survive, that we don't think about just taking one moment, like, oh hey, that's a nice sunset. Oh hey, those are great, those are nice fluffy clouds, or even like rain clouds, like, oh, that looks pretty. I just we just all need those breaks. So that's what I feel like this picture basically represented. but yeah, I appreciate all your feedback. So I feel like there are a multitude of ways to express your world through art, like whether traditionally, digitally, sculptures, all the mediums that we have that's been given to us. I feel like there's just no endless ways that you can let your creativity just flow and just burst out and everything like that. So, and when you find your medium, that's just always great. And I'm glad that, even though I'm not saying that I like I said, and I feel that's been a debate as well when it comes to traditional and digital, the traditional and digital debate of like, oh, which one's better. I don't feel like there's like any idiot. Like, I feel like they're both important to the art that's supposed to be that we need to create out there. So that's why I feel like you shouldn't limit yourself to just one thing. Explore other things. Like I said, I come from a background where I worked with like charcoal, I've worked with pastel, I've worked with paint. Me and paint have a bit of a fight with each other. Because my friends from high school, their mom's an art teacher. She's like, well, you just haven't found the right teacher. I'm like, I will come to you, but I'm just like, me and paint aren't friends. But I like to do it every now and then just to get that out there. Watercolor. I just feel like a lot of the resources that's been given to us through artistry is just important for whatever you want to explain through your storytelling. So basically, I guess I can explain my process of how I do all this and how I get all this. I feel like I said, I'm a daydreamer, so I feel like it just comes out of nowhere. I could be just like staring at the wall. I'm like, I just want to draw, I don't know, a crow with a hat or something. I don't know, just something random will come up, and then it'll just. And it usually doesn't end up how I saw it in my head, but I think that's for a lot of artists. So it just comes out, and then I feel like there's no right way with how to do your process when it comes to things. With mine, I like doing my sketching first before anything, because if I'm trying to still tell whatever imagery I want to put on the page, I like sketching my process out first. Like this would be all scratches and stuff like that. It would kind of be unrecognizable, really. And then I kind of then the next layer is the lining, the line art. First layer of line art, and then there's a second layer of line art, which is what you see here. And then that's when I start adding colors on. How I pick colors, I like to put my base colors down first. I feel like that's where I can get my composition that I need and what I can work off of to get the layers and the shadows and everything like that, and what will work best to make the piece pop more.
Which programs are you using for digital artwork? Are you using the Adobe Suite or Procreate? It's like Adobe's had a lot of problems recently.
Right, with the AI and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
and taking copyrighted material.
Yeah, I use a Japanese program called Medibang Paint.
Okay.
I do most of this work on my Amazon Kindle.
Okay.
That's all I mean, I feel like it's another thing about over artistry, you gotta work with what you got sometimes, because everything's so expensive out there. Especially, like, even though sometimes I miss doing traditional work, I don't miss buying supplies. Because that stuff is crazy. I'm just buying supplies, buying markers. When I was doing my marker work, I was going through markers so much. So going digitally has saved me so much more money, except for printing. Of course, printing is a little bit harder because that costs. But other than that, the program that I've been using has been fine. I don't need anything fancy. I do pay for the year subscription because it's just better to have access to everything that I can. And it's only like $17. I think oh no, not at all. It's in yen, but it's 17. But I do like it. It has helped. It has been a nice starting program for me. I think I'll keep it for as long as I can. As long as, cause I really do like the program a lot. But I'm not open to, doing other programs like clip art and all that stuff. But I know with the whole AI thing going on, that's been a whole mess. Which we can actually talk about if you like.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
how do you guys feel about AI kind of trying to encroach on the artist's space?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I've loved art ever since I was a kid, but I've never been very good on it. Like, my stick figures look horrible. Like, I'm that bad. But what I like using AI is it allows me to bring my thoughts. Like, I can have those images in my head, and if I can do a detailed enough description, I can have it actually do the art for me, where it's my idea, but I just don't have the ability to carry it through otherwise. And I know other artists are like, well, I have the ability to do both. I'm like, not everyone has it. So I kind of like it. Like, I see where they're coming from. But I'm like, for other people that just don't have that talent, we can also then create things.
I have a counterpoint. I could not draw until I learned. There is no such thing as talent. What there is do you have a vision in your head? And if you have the vision in your head, you'll be able to learn how to draw, with one exception. And that exception is if you've had a serious head injury. I've only known a few people who cannot learn how to draw something that is in their head, and those people end up going into abstract expressionism because they're not able to deal with figure and form because of brain decoding issues. But that's only in cases of serious head injury. So be patient with yourself. I think the problem is that in our world, people aren't given the time and the patience to learn a skill that they're not used to yet. And my concern is that AI is not actually your imagery. It's a facsimile of things you've seen, but it's not really truly what's going on inside your head. So I think my weird take is challenge yourself to struggle. It's okay to struggle. It's okay for it to take time. Mastery of any skill takes the way I always heard it was it takes 10,000 hours or 10 years to master a skill.
Yeah.
So I think something to consider is patience. Be patient with yourself.
And I think there's layers of it too. Is are you doing it for personal, or are you doing it for trying to be professional in selling and marketing things like that? Where like you wanted to get something off of there with something that you just kind of thought of, and it's not exactly like out of your head, but it's close, and you definitely can't do it on your own. But that's just what you want for your wall or whatever. I think there's also that layer too. Where is that fine line, and what are you using it for? Versus if you're doing it and then you're misinterpreting, saying that conversation. I think just owning those pieces of it and what aspect that could be. So I think there's layers of that also too. So we're like, that's so horrible to that. Well, for someone who may or not have that creativity or drawing or whatever or time or there's so many variables, right?
Right.
I think that's a different conversation also too.
Did you have anything?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't particularly like AI. I think in a perfect world there is a use for it in some parts. I think current generative AI stuff is a mess and ethically, not environmentally, and a bunch of other stuff. So currently I'm just a no-go on AI stuff, but I'm also a professional artist and I'm not about it.
I feel like the debate's been kind of like, I know sometimes it gets a little ugly with it, but I feel like everyone has a reason to what they do with me. I'm not for it, but I feel like with me, it also like I always for it as a tool. Like let's see if you not like tool like you use it to actually make the image. Like let's say like you said, like you're trying to form something, and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm looking at in my head, so you just kind of like maybe program it in, see what's it. But I'm not with the whole selling it. I'm not with using people's artistry who worked hard for their work, them taking that and exploiting other people's artwork that they worked hard for, and they're just kind of like that whole thing that happened in Colorado. Was it Colorado Springs where they had that art festival and the person won?
Oh, that was actually here.
Oh, yeah, it was there. Oh, it was here in
It was
Colorado,
here
in
in
Denver.
Denver, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they had someone had made a big grandiose piece, right? It was AI. They submitted it. Whole lot of other people, then they won over everybody else who have done the work for them. So when it comes to that, they said that when it comes to exploiting it and stuff like that, I don't agree with that. As a tool, I'm not too against it. Just as long as you're not like copying and pasting what you see and then calling it yours. You know what I mean? But I do agree with your point with the whole. And I understand that because I was where you were at when I first started. So like I said, I'm fascinated with humans. Humans are like, besides buildings and perspective, humans really are the hardest thing to draw, especially when it comes to hands, feet, everything. As for shortening, that is the hardest thing to do. But it takes, like you said, it takes time. But like I said, I was where you were at. When I first started drawing, I had the first book I ever had for manga was Sailor Moon Volume 3. This is like the old Sailor. This is the ones that if you buy them on eBay, they cost like $200, $300. I have those ones because I got my books in the 90s. So but my Volume 3 is wrecked because I was going through it and copying the pictures that I saw and the things to start learning how to draw by myself. And then when I took on the goal to start doing it myself, oh gosh, just my body was stiff. It was just like this. This is and the hands are just like I couldn't get how I needed. Like the backs were even curved. They're just ramrod straight. I'm like I'm struggling, but I have a friend. Her name is Lisa Thomas, and I met in high school. She was like where I'm at right now. That's where she was in high school, and she was in my band, my marching band, and we went to Ireland. We were in the same group, and I went to her. We were in a restaurant. I'm like, so could you help me with bodies? And she gave me the diagram to how to draw bodies. Shot off after that. Then I started making books, everything like that, and I just shot off from there. And I started getting better and better. I thank God for her every day. Actually, the diagram that she gave me is the diagram I give other people. That's basically what's in the beginners thing. Of course, it looks a lot better than the bodies I had back in high school, but this is basically the diagram she gave me. So I basically live off that diagram to teach other people. So, but yeah, it's always rough in the beginning, and I feel like I'm the delusional one where I'm just like, I know people like to say it comes with talent and all that stuff, but I feel like with me it's basically training a muscle. you're training a muscle. That's basically all it is. And that's why you have to practice as much as you can if you're given that time. Even a couple hours can make a big difference. But of course, with me, when it comes to how I look at things like what is it? When you get like, what is it? When you get stuck and you can't think of anything to draw for creativity, I actually thank God for those days because I think that's my brain telling. I take the art blocks. I take art blocks as a blessing because my brain's telling me you need a break. So I feel like the whole thing of like practicing is important, but also if you feel like you can't draw anything, I don't say people like say, well, just force it. Like you can force it, but sometimes I feel like with an art block, that's just your brain telling you just need a break for a while, even if it's like 2-3 days, a week, a month. It could be a year. It's just whatever you can, because I feel like whenever I have my art breaks, all of a sudden I'm like, I hit the ground running again. I'm coming up with like 1,000 different things to draw. So I actually like art blocks. they're a blessing to me. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's I don't know. I'm one of the delusional ones where I feel like everybody can draw, but people look at me like, no, it's mostly like I feel like I'm just like. You just gotta train it.
Everyone can draw, but
Right.
maybe not at what they want to draw.
Right.
At skill level.
They don't
And
have the
for me,
patience.
drawing is just filling time before
Yeah.
it became like, oh, I need to reach this level.
Mm-hmm.
It's what can I do to just do something?
Right.
It's one of the easiest things to do.
And as her mom, I think one of the biggest things is those constantly is we're our own worst critics.
Right.
I didn't get that perfect. I can't draw hands. I can't do this. I can't do that. And so the mindset of trying to stay positive through all those moments and just knowing that, you know what, you may think it's not exactly perfect, but that's okay because you know what, it's about what you can get out and that's alright also too. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. God forbid you give me exactly eyes, exactly center, so there's layers of that. So I think that's always for me that constant piece. And whatever we do, regardless of whether it's art itself, anything we do.
Yeah.
My hair didn't come out right now, my hair's flaring in a weird way and I can see it and like it doesn't, but it's just like that, we're our own worst enemy, we're our own worst critics. And so I think we need to take that with a grain of salt and say it is okay that it is not exactly perfect.
Right.
And that's a family level too. It never ends. That continues.
Yeah.
The imposter syndrome continues no matter how good you get.
I feel like I've gone to a space where I feel like I finally got into the space where I'm okay if it doesn't turn out perfect. I'm just like, okay, well, of course, do I display? I do show some of the messed up ones, but I'm just like, but I just feel like I'm still working on it, but it's not. But I feel like I'm still in a more comfortable space where I'm like, okay, I did the best I could, and I got it out. It's out there. If I can redraw it, I'll just redraw it. You know what I mean? Cause I used to be one that was against redrawing. I hated redrawing pictures. I was just like, no. Like I already drew it once, I'm not gonna do it again. But ever since I picked up digital art, I've redrawn so many of my older works. I'm just like, yep, we're good. I'm just testing out where I'm at. But yeah, I feel like perfectionism is like for a lot of artists, whether it's singing, art, writing definitely. I kind of miss those days, but I burnt myself out because, like I said, I love world building, but I world build too much. I prepare too much, so I burnt myself out of writing so much. I miss it sometimes because I love creating stuff and worlds and people and cultures and stuff like that. But languages, and I just fell out of it because like I was planning way too much, and then I had too many ideas. So. But that perfectionism, I think that's another thing that made me burn out was I was rewriting it over and over because I wanted it to be brand new. But I feel like it's perfectionism is just that poison for artists, and it's just something that I think over years as you grow, you either learn you have to be comfortable with the you're not perfect, or you're just gonna be not tainted, but kind of beat down by it. And I think that's where I feel like a lot of artists that either breaks them or makes them, So.
Where you're comforted with a certain sense of personal despair all the time.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Exactly. But yeah. So. And basically, what I wrote was like, what medium resonates through you the most? Which actually, that could be a question. What medium are you most comfortable with when you're doing artwork?
I do blended acrylics, 3D work, but I also like tangible 3D work, and then I also do digital painting, and I'm also an author.
I've done a lot of stuff. I mostly do pen and ink stuff. I've been getting back into printmaking and lino cutting. I also like sculpting, but that more tends towards a different hobby of mine, of miniature stuff. But
You're not sure which medium you're more comfortable with? You're still kind of exploring?
No, I just do all of them. I like rotate a different one each week or whatever I need. I made these earrings like today. And then I'm drawing. I have more beading stuff at home. I have embroidery, sewing, felting. Just kind of weird right now.
Hello, jewelry maker, hello. Yeah, I made these ones here the other day. So it's just like, I love doing mostly beads and stuff like that. And that's the best thing about art, is that I love like expanding out throughout. If I could expand through clothes, I would, but I'm not a good sewer. So I'm just like I'll get there one day, maybe if I'm maybe more curious about it. My mom was more of the fashionista than I was, so she actually sewed her own clothes and stuff like that. And that's why I feel like when my parents talk about like, well, I don't know where you get it from. Like, one of you obviously could have runs through the thing. Like I think my dad's brother was a painter. My dad he can draw stuff. Like he can draw a pan, he can draw a boat. He drew a boat once and just like, oh, this is what I want for the lining inside. I'm like, and you keep telling me you're not an artist. He's like, but I'm not. But you're a technical artist. So my mom, like I said, she did fashion. So but she put it away because she stopped doing it because she was scared because of needles and stuff. I'm like, just put it in a box and just keep going. But I'm a baby, and I understand I'm a baby, so she didn't want me getting hurt. But I'm like, but you could have continued because that woman couldn't be money. I'm sorry. But I don't know. But of course, we shouldn't always turn our hobbies into our a job at least. But whatever resonates through you most, I think that's what you should probably use to just do like any of the imagery that you want to come out, any of the world building that you need to, or all the storytelling that you want to say and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I did list some resources for people who want to make their world flow. So I feel like references are important, like anatomy references. Like when I did the pagoda, I had to look at a whole bunch of pagodas. God, I can't do that off the top of my head. So pagoda, references, pictures, which that's God. I keep bringing up debates because people have been really, especially I don't have TikTok, but I hear about everything art-wise on YouTube, and I've been hearing about a lot of people just having issues with a lot of stuff, with a lot of artists in their days today, especially references to cheating. How you don't remember it? I can't.
Everyone uses references.
I can't draw this from the top of my head.
Old masters use references.
Right.
I've only ever known one artist who can draw a human being who does not exist from his own mind, and he's a Russian master.
Mm-hmm.
One out of every person I've met, and he only can do people. He can't. Did you tell him to draw a dog? It looks bizarre. Yeah, it looks weird. But he's the only human being I've known, and as I said, he's playing his 90s now because he was pretty old when I was
Talking about tools earlier and utilizing things for tools, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel ever.
Right.
Like if the goal is to constantly move and to constantly improve, you shouldn't get stuck on things that someone else has already figured out for you.
Right.
And it's available for you to use.
Right.
And a good pro tip too, if you take your own photo references, like when you're going on trips and you see something weird, take pictures of it.
Right.
You own that picture, so you are not infringing on copyright,
Mm-hmm.
and that is yours to use as reference and relight and do whatever you want with it. So do that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
For references, I like to combine pictures from Pinterest. Like terribly. Like I cut something from here, something from there, and put them all together, and that usually works for me.
there's also the classic of taking a picture of yourself and then doing the same thing. For my senior thesis, I took all of the reference pictures for all the figures in it, and it is a very movie style thing, but it is just me over and over again. So it looks very silly, but it at least helps you figure out what you want to do.
I just thought of another thing when it comes to that, like what we just mentioned. Oh, I guess it was important. I'm not sure. But yeah, I would say references are definitely important. I don't know why that's been debate online, but then I feel like a lot of people who feel like they have a lot to say and aren't doing the work, kind of they just
Non-artists
it's just-
talking about art.
yeah.
How
I
are
think
people really
being
feel special? Like, oh, I don't use references, so that makes me better than you.
And they're probably lying. It's like the FromSoft phenomenon of anyone who says that they're really good at a FromSoft game, they probably are not. They're just bragging about it online for clout.
I feel like books are definitely a good reference, good for not reference, but good for like for a starting point. Like I said, I just learned from the diagram that my friend made, but when I started getting like how to animate manga books, like the older ones, like how to make manga, how to make anime, how to draw bodies, how to do all that. I feel like that also shot me off to getting my bodies. They're not perfect still, but I'm happy about that. And I'm glad for that. And you know what I mean. And but to where I am now, and that's why I like to keep I have like a lot of my old artwork, especially from when I was a child. So to see where it is now to where I am now, it makes me happy. I'm just like, yay, I made it. Like I'm still growing every year, but I made it. So books, definitely, I love books. Anything from even like the anatomy books. I know some people don't like anatomy sometimes. I remember I worked at the BX before on Buckley Space Force Base. Had a coworker. He was taking art school. Good at art school. I think he was going to the same college. I went to community college in Aurora, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take a figure drawing class." I'm like, they have new models. He's like, "Ew, I don't want to see that." You want to learn about bodies. You have to look at new models to learn about the human figure. He's just like, "Oh god, they're making people." I'm like, "Yeah, it's figure drawing." So oh boy.
I was wondering if you might know, because I remember the Art Students League used to have you pay $10 for a weekly life drawing class. Do you know if that's still happening in Denver? 'Cause last time I went to one was like 10 years ago.
I'm not quite sure because, like I said, I went to community art work, so that was not in Denver. But when I did come here in Denver, it was for when I started going to school in Denver. It was at Metro, so I'm not quite sure if I remember anything about a class like that though. Unfortunately.
It was like through the Art Students League, but as I said, I've been out of that loop for a while, so I wasn't sure if anyone here knew. Because that was a big resource because it's only like $10 and it was like a Wednesday, Thursday night thing.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll probably look that up. I didn't know that was wrong. So, but thanks. That's it.
Absolutely.
You never know. Could still be here. I see YouTube videos as well. I am YouTube University trained in something like art, like my jewelry. I feel like YouTube does help because there are free. I feel like the first thing people want to do is go to like school and all that stuff. But I feel like with all the resources we have now that we didn't really have then. Like I said, I'm a '90s kid, so 87 baby '90s kid. I feel like we didn't have we were trying to do the best that we can, but now with all of YouTube videos and that, I feel like you get so much knowledge on how to do stuff. Like YouTube videos help my digital artwork a lot because there was something I was crying. I couldn't figure out. I'm like, what is this? What am I looking at? Why is this working? So I'm always glad that YouTube's there. Clubs, definitely. If you have clubs in your even high school, high school, middle school clubs. We have I know that's been kind of the thing that's been rotating out, unfortunately. So I don't understand that. I don't know why they want to get rid of third places for at least the younger generation. You know what I mean? Because those were really helpful when I went to clubs and stuff like that. You meet other people, other artists, and you just kind of connect with people and everything on something that you like. So I don't know. So I know clubs are important, but I think they do have some clubs that could be outside. Maybe what is it called? The centers, the recreational centers. They might have clubs. I feel like they have different clubs for different things. Then there's actual classes, of course. For those that's the more expensive route. I put it last because you don't want to go through that expensive route first. That's basically why when I went to school, my parents at first wanted to we were talking about going to, what was it, not Art Academy, what is it, in Denver.
Rocky Mountain College Bar?
Almost went there too.
Oh, the one that was close.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the Art Institute.
the Art Institute. Yeah. Oh, they closed it.
Yeah, it got closed. That was it became one of those like money making schemes
That's
where they
where
weren't
profit
providing.
Oh,
It was a yeah, and they got
I
like
dodged
wrapped
the
up in a whole
bullet.
bunch of that. So you dodged the bullet.
I dodged the bullet. Yeah, this was back in like I graduated in 2005, so and we were looking for a school for me, and my parents all looked prices like, ah, you're funny, and just took me out. You're going to community college. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just want to go to school. So they took me to community college. Dang, I didn't know about that. I did almost go to Rocky Mountain as well because I did but it's just those prices just turned everybody up. And then
We're a Rencat.
alumni, yeah.
Oh,
So,
nice.
There,
Yeah.
there was some issues there too. There was someone who was stealing from the VA accounts, and then AJ ended up being saddled with the debt from the money that was stolen from the VA.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was some bad stuff.
Yeah. I feel like I guess we could talk about that as well. Like, what do you feel about like what do you feel like when it comes to like when it comes to approaching art? Do you feel like art schools are important, or do you feel like any route that you take to
It depends on the degree. AJ's degree is useless.
Yeah, my degree's in 3D animation. They didn't have a good program for that, so it's a matter of doing the research beforehand and kind of seeing what is it that they're showing you, what is it that they're teaching you, what sort of success stories are coming out of that school. Otherwise, everything that I learned there, I definitely could have learned for $100,000 less on YouTube.
On the flip, my illustration degree was actually very useful, but it was the most underfunded program at the school, ironically, but it was the most robust program at the school. And there are professors that I really am grateful I had that interaction with. Honestly, the answer is to audit classes with specific people you want to learn from. And there's resources for people who are pretty generous, like if you're wanting to dip into realism and like classical painting, I really recommend everything James Gurney. He provides a lot of free resources. He also does teach classes from time to time, and he has a lot of fantastic reference books. And he's very nice. He's a very nice man. So it's mostly learning who you need to talk to.
I think
That makes any sense.
I think that's part of the art industry in general. Is
Yeah.
definitely who you know, through networking. Like I said, even though people might feel like, I feel like when it comes to degrees, I feel like a lot of people feel like art degrees are kind of useless, which I don't like that. It depends on how you choose to use the knowledge that was given to you. So like I said, I come from like people will probably look down, not you, not about you, but I'm talking about like people will probably look down that I have associates, but it's fine arts, and that's basically how I caught on so quick because I'm trained, I'm trained into this, just by doing different things and stuff like that. So I just feel like people might look down my degree and be like, oh, well, you just got an associate's. Yeah, but I'm doing something with it because I have a business with it. Go ahead.
I actually have a question about art school.
Yes.
I know when I was like, for example, in college doing a creative writing class, I felt like it was too rigid because they wanted you to do what they wanted. Do you feel like art school limits you and like just their assignments, the artwork? Like I know they're trying to teach you the basics, but it feels like at the same time they're putting you in little boxes. Is that how you felt?
I feel like, well, since I went to the schools that I went to, I feel like since I went to community college, it wasn't as strict. Though I did have teachers, like my teacher in high school, who felt anime was useless. She's like, I don't know why you're doing anime. You're not gonna do anything with it. Okay. But but I feel like it depends on. I just feel like it just depends on the teacher that you have. Like it depends on like. I don't know. I feel like I've heard some things about art school. I feel like you guys could probably because I feel like with art school, do you feel like it was limiting or?
No, not at all actually. The big complaint I had was that the fine arts program was so unconstructed that it gave people no structure and no teachable skills, which was a big problem. In illustration, I got fortunate. I had a lot of professors, particularly towards the end of my schooling, who are saying, oh yeah, I see what you're trying to do, this is how we're gonna get you there. The biggest thing about an illustration degree that I would caution about is if you're wanting to do something that is not based in realism, and anime is based in realism, I'm throwing that out there, that is a form of realism. If you're wanting to do anything that deals with something that involves any sort of abstraction, and that includes an abstraction of style. So you're still dealing with realism, but you're wanting to do something that has a stylistic variant. All American art schools, every single one, gears you towards realism. Every single one. So in some markets, like a lot of European markets will not hire artists. Say you're building game concept work, right? If you're an artist that's based in the U.S. and they're not dealing with realism, they wanted to do something that's like what's the Bugs Bourne one called? Yeah, something that's more stylized. They will not hire an American artist because the American schools trend towards realism. Now that being said, you can still learn those fundamentals and still stylize too. That's still fine, but it is one of those things that every art school that is dealing in illustration will do that. And a lot of fine art programs deal in concept, but not in skill. So it's kind of knowing what you're wanting to do and then standing on those resources and using them to elevate yourself.
I feel like when it comes to art schools, like I said, like I told you before, basics are important. That's what they're there for. They're there to build a foundation for you. So yeah, I know a lot of people who complain about going to art classes, like, well, I have to learn how this stuff. Like, well, do you want to get better or do you want to improve? Like, you don't have to. You can take that knowledge and go anywhere you want with it, because you don't have to do it exactly how they want you to. But the knowledge is important for how you want to build and where you see yourself going when it comes to, because all the little things that, like I said, like the color theory and the anatomy and everything like that, it's just like all the things are like really important for what you want to see and what you want to do with it and everything like that. But of course, it's always up to you what you want to do with it. You know.
You have to know what the rules are before you can break them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There was a conversation about that where are you guys familiar with the rule of thirds?
Yes.
Or so everyone's familiar with the rule of thirds. So the rule of thirds is what it actually means is the highest visual probability of a good outcome is using these sections in threes. That's not always true for a good outcome. So the more that you break those rules, the lower your percentage for success is, but that doesn't mean you won't have success. And the more skilled you are, the more you can break the rules. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no, I appreciate it. Okay, like I said, I feel like our school and community college is totally different things. They're the same basic, but they're like totally different things. But I appreciate your input. Thank you so much. And I think that's all we had. I think we did question Q&A, and I think we should probably move on to the next panel. But I really appreciate y'all for coming and inputting, and I thank you for coming. Make sure you take one of these, even though you're artists. You might need it for it, you might need it. Thank you. Yay.